Some of my favorite childhood memories are on Sunday afternoons after church, going to see my grandparents. And those Sunday afternoons, often, my grandma would make a nice apple pie. And my grandma, I don't know if you know this, probably not, she perfected apple pie. She made the best apple pie. And what's so amazing is not only did she perfect it, but my grandpa found a way to make it even better. He would make the best whipped cream to go on top of it. He insisted whenever there's apple pie, there needs to be a mountain of whipped cream to go with it. And so many very good memories of going and enjoying this great apple pie. I want to tell you about one Sunday my grandma played a trick on me and my brother. We came, and as we went in the door, we looked, and on the counter was her famous apple pie. And we were so excited, and everything was as usual. We sat down, and my grandma got it all cut up and served it. We threw on all kinds of whipped cream on top, as we always do, and we ate, and we were so happy eating her apple pie. And what we didn't notice as we were caught up in this was that there was she had a bit of a crooked smile on her face, right? And her and my grandpa were watching us very intently. When we finished eating her pie, she looked at us, and we knew something was up right away, and she asked us, right, "Do you know what you just ate?" And we very sheepishly and hesitantly said, "Well, apple pie, right?" And she laughed. She laughed, and she told us, "No, what you ate was a pear pie." A pear pie. And a little bit of background, they had pears, and my grandma would get them. I never ate them, right? Growing up, I didn't eat pears. I didn't like pears. She tricked us into eating her pear pie, and we didn't even notice a difference. My grandma, right? I was not expecting that at all. I remember not only the apple pie and this one horrible instance of this pear pie, but also just going to my grandparents, being around the dinner table, the kitchen table, eating our pie, but it wasn't just about the pie, right? Of course not. Sitting around and talking and listening, I would hear my grandparents share memories and stories and lessons that they had learned throughout their lives. That kitchen table for us and for our family was almost like another little school, right? Where we as children especially would be formed and shaped, where we would grow and learn and see the world much bigger than just ourselves, right? That was really an important time, the time when we would share a meal together or share even her perfected apple pie. With this in mind, I just wanted to bring that up first because I wonder if my grandma got some of this wisdom from the gospel today. Today we hear of Christ, how he's being criticized. He's being criticized for eating with sinners. This fellow welcomes sinners and he eats with them. That's what the Pharisees and the scribes are accusing him of, and that's a bad thing in their mind. As Christ was doing this, what was he intending, right? He then gives 3 parables to show them, this is what I'm trying to do. Try to understand why I'm doing this. And the first one is the parable of the Good Shepherd, who we see his mind, his intention, his heart. His heart is to go and to find that one lost sheep. And he would leave the 99 just in order to go and find him. And you can almost sense in here like there's a certain kind of desperation, right? In the shepherd who's lost a sheep and he's going out to find it, right? And he's going to make sure that he finds it. He's desperate to find that lost sheep. And then for the woman who loses a coin, there's a real sense of urgency. She has to find the silver coin that was lost, and she tears her whole house apart, you can imagine, in order to find it. The third parable, which I didn't read today, but it's right there with these, is the parable of the prodigal son or the loving father. And in that one, we have this image of the son who goes away, right? Asks the father for his inheritance, goes away, wastes it all, and then comes back, right? I will return to the house of my father. But what we see is the father looking and watching for his coming. You can imagine every day, keeping an eye on that laneway, on the road. Will this be the day that he comes back? Maybe some of the disappointment that he had many times. He looked and he never came that day. But then finally he comes, and the Father doesn't wait for him to come and then to bow down, and I'm so sorry, what I did was wrong, all of that stuff, right? He doesn't try to rub it in or anything, but he runs out. He runs out to greet his son, puts his arms around him, and restores him to his sonship. He doesn't say, well, now you're going to be a slave, or now you're going to work it off, all this that you've done to me, or you got to do so much just to make up for what you've done. But he immediately, right? He immediately brings him back. In each of these parables, we get a real sense of the heart of the Father and of the heart of Christ. So as Christ is sitting around the dinner table with sinners and eating with them, what is he doing? He's seeking out those who are lost. He has this desperate, urgent, extremely generous and seeking kind of love that is in his heart, that he is bringing to those who he shares these meals with. And so I wonder, right, is there a real wisdom there? You can think about some of the meals that you've had in your life with different people. I think there is something about sharing a meal that kind of lets the guard down a little bit. Well, for one thing, all of us have to eat, right? So there's an opportunity. But then also just sharing a meal dinner table seems to be a place, right, where maybe our guards are let down a little bit. We can eat something so we're not angry or hangry, right? We're just kind of a little bit calmer. And then as well that we're able to share, right? To have honest conversation, and sometimes even conversation about more difficult things, right? Around that dinner table where we're together. There's a friendship, a trust that is built that then opens up the door that this dinner table can be a place, just like it was for me and my brother, a place where we learn, where we're being formed, where we can benefit so much, right? And so I think Christ is trying to do also what my grandma was trying to do, right? Well, it's the other way around. My grandma was trying to do what Christ was trying to do, right? And that this was that opportunity to sit around the table is something that can be so good for us and even healing. Now, when Christ was sitting with sinners, he noticed that he wasn't there just kind of affirming them in their sin. He wasn't saying, just carry on and do whatever you want, or I wouldn't dare interfere or anything. No, he's coming and he's trying to build a relationship to open up the door. And we read many times that the people who he's eating with, they go away changed. Their lives have been changed by this encounter that they had over a meal with Christ. And so we know his heart, seeking the lost, and seeking to raise up those who are fallen, those who have fallen into darkness, into sin, to pull them out, right? And the dinner table was a place where he could reach down his hand and try to lift them up. For us, right? Have we had meals with sinners? When's the last time you've invited a sinner over to your house, right? To share a meal together? Maybe in our lives, we can think of sinners, right? But we can also think of people who we are in conflict with, we don't get along with, people who have hurt us in some kind of way. Probably many times you've eaten with sinners, right? Maybe even sometimes the person you look across from every meal is someone who maybe has hurt you in some way, or who you are in a bit of conflict with. It could be a spouse, it could be children, it could be a relative, it could be a friend, it could be anyone, right? I think often, if we think about it, we're in this kind of environment. And maybe we can think of Christ. He did this not with the intention of causing more harm, but of using the mealtime as a time to build trust and friendship, reconciliation, and to see things in a different way. Maybe there's an opportunity there for us too, right? To call someone over, to invite them for a meal, for a cup of coffee, just for something, to share a bit of time together, and maybe to walk away in a different way. But, okay, so we can think about others, those other sinners, right? I'll invite maybe them, I'll try to be nice, and maybe something good will come of it. But sometimes we're the sinners, right, that someone else is inviting over. Sometimes it's us who are sitting at that table who we walk away changed. We walk away maybe inspired. We walk away a different person. And that's something to be grateful for, right? For those times as well where we've seen something in someone else, where they have spoken to us over a meal, right? And that we have been helped because of that. So maybe something to think about today, this week, right? Is there someone in my life that really it would be good to have a meal with? Is there someone that I need to maybe reconcile with? Is there someone maybe to heal some conflict? Is there someone maybe just who's struggling, right? Who maybe needs a bit of a hand, right? That maybe a meal, a cup of coffee, right? Or even a phone call. But often a meal, like that's the wisdom of Christ. Like a meal does something, right? When we eat and share actually a meal together, it does do something, right? So maybe even to consider that for something to do for this week. This fellow welcomes sinners and he eats with them. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit,